Hello, good morning, and welcome to beautiful northern Colorado and sort of an industrial complex because my friend Colton invited me over to his detailing shop, Clear Detailing in Windsor, Colorado. Actually, a personal friend of mine who I've known for years and years. Since I first got into cars. And Colton said, hey, bring the Plaid on by. He's a huge Tesla enthusiast, and let's take a look at the paint. So what we're gonna do is evaluate Tesla's paint quality on a brand new Tesla Model S Plaid. This is in mid-2022, coming up into summer. And let's see how well they painted this Tesla Model S Plaid. So for those of you who don't know, I recently took delivery of this car. It's going to be my new daily driver, and I'm just so excited to have one of the quickest production cars. It's no secret, I've owned Teslas for years, and I think it's important to have one in the garage, and I've just absolutely fallen for this particular spec. Blacked out white seats. Now, we do have some things planned coming up with this vehicle, such as some Martian MW05 wheels. Maybe we'll get some lowering links so we can just drop it a smidge so it sits a little bit better. Tint, of course, and I know some of you think this is controversial, but I will be putting a round steering wheel on the car. So all of that is to come, but what I wanted to do was to first take care of the paint, and let's look. Now, for me, there's only two ways to do this. You either go crazy, paint protection film the whole car if you're going to be driving it off-road or something like that, and totally protect it, or you just give no craps about it. And while I actually think this might be the first time that I take sort of a medium approach, and that is mostly to make the ease of care more easy, I guess, caring for it better for what I'm planning to do. You know, I run cars through this touchless wash we use all the time, and it's actually a pretty high quality touchless wash. But what I wanted to do was to give this paint the best start I could so that it stays looking nice for a long time. This is a solid black paint, non-metallic, which means it's actually going to be pretty hard to keep looking nice. And what I did was when I took delivery at Tesla, I asked them not to touch any of the paint. I asked them not to wash the car. And so this is exactly as I received it off the truck. You can see the residue from stickers on here, and that was all intentional so that we can do this with Colton, a professional detailer. And I'm talking one of the best in the business, very, very detail oriented. This is not a shop, Colton's shop, Clear Detailing, that's a high volume shop. He can't handle a million customers, but he does do some of the best work out there. So what we're gonna do is pull it into his shop here at Clear Detailing, take a look at the paint, see how well Tesla did underneath everything, and then of course we're going to talk about what he thinks we should do to sort of best protect the car, but not go crazy, considering we're only gonna own this for, you know, a few months to a year, maybe 2 years at most. I don't know what the plan is here, but I don't see myself keeping this car forever. I just want to make some videos with it, enjoy it while I can. And then really the keeper is going to be the Taycan, which will replace this vehicle at some point down the road. So let's back it into his shop here. And let me show you his shop, actually. It's awesome. Again, Clear Detailing. And I think what he's thinking we should do is sort of just correct any defects in the paint sometime later this week and then ceramic coat it just to make the auto wash, the you know, touchless wash that I bring the cars through work just a little bit better. But man, the new taillights on this car look nice. This is still one of the best looking electric vehicles on sale. And it's a shape from 10 years ago now, and it still just looks insane. And speaking of looking insane, take a look at inside of Clear Detailing. Let me show you this. Hey, Colton, how's it going, sir?
Hey, Kyle, how are you?
Doing well. What do you got going on in here, sir?
We are just finishing up coating this Super Air Natique G23.
Dude, that is one hell of a boat right there. So you do boats now? What's going on?
I've done them every so often. This is kind of a regular detail for me. Normally kind of focus on cars, supercars, things like that, but doing a boat for a good client of mine and getting it ready for the summer here.
That is first off, just the trailer is insane. And then the boat is a whole nother level. And this is your Tesla Model 3, right?
Yes, yes it is.
And what's the spec on it?
So this is a 21 Model 3 long range with the acceleration boost on it, and I absolutely love driving it.
And you got the performance wheels on it.
Yes.
So that looks pretty good. And so insane shop, you can maybe see in the Model 3 sort of this hexagon pattern coming from above. Dude, you have the sickest lights ever. This is crazy. So what are these lights, or did you build this? How did that come to be?
So these are hex grid lights. Bought them from a company out of Atlanta. These are actually one solid fixture, so they are 10 feet by 16 feet long. So they're two separate ones there, hung from the ceiling. Believe me, it was a very interesting having my electricians go up there on 2 boom lifts to get those up there.
That's crazy. And I'm already noticing the wash bins all labeled. So you have your wash and rinse. You have DI water with, if you guys don't know, Krenzla makes the best, best compressors for anything, right?
Absolutely.
Just insane. They're so smooth. The water output always comes perfectly. I can't say I've ever used that version before, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that works. I don't think our audience knows this, but years ago, I used to be into detailing.
Really?
And I loved, you know, all of this. You know, there was a group on Facebook called Obsessed Garage, and I got really into it. And I was like, gotta have all the stuff. And I had all the stuff. I don't know where it all is these days, but yeah, used to use G-Technic stuff and all of these components. So I'm like, you know, you're the real deal when you have all that stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, obviously your shop is wonderful. You have a little lounge area up there. What's going on up there?
So that's kind of my lounge area for myself. I've also got my dogs that love to run around up there and make a mess instead of keeping them out of the detailing space around cars and stuff. But you know, they do pretty well, and they just run around, have a great time up there.
Very nice. Well, certainly just so impressed with the visuals in here. I can't wait to see what the Model S looks like under these lights. So what do you say we open the door and we pull it in? Well, now that we got the Model S inside, it is looking pretty cool under these lights, and it's just in its raw state.
Yep.
So can you explain a little bit why maybe it's a good idea to not have a dealer prep a car and sort of start on this process without anyone touching it?
Sure. So this is probably the best way, in my opinion, to get a new car. These cars come in typically pretty dirty off transport, especially at our Loveland Tesla dealer here. They may have some people who will go through, kind of wash this thing down quickly. This paint in particular, gloss black, always very soft, very easy to scratch. So you can kind of go through this thing, and Kyle and I are gonna go look around, see some factory stuff here and there, maybe a few little love marks here and there from transport getting in and out of the car. But overall, I'm pretty impressed. We just looked over this, and it's looking pretty darn good.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, you know, this is where, you know, just again to reiterate, we did not ask the dealer to wash anything. I think the only thing they did was take the adhesive off.
And that's exactly what you want.
And then I ran it through one touchless wash, which maybe wasn't the best move, but it doesn't really hurt the car that much.
No.
And yeah, so what have we found so far? So far, I think you've said like, wow, this looks really good.
I'm pretty impressed. So I've been around quite a few new cars. I started my business kind of prepping new cars for detailing, ceramic coating, getting them fresh off the lot. So this is kind of pretty normal for me to look at. There's a few sanding marks here and there, a few little weird adhesive areas. Kyle, if you want to bring this in, we can start looking here. There's some few little marks there. Obviously this may have been, you know, some bird residue, tree residue, not sure on that. Down here, while I was searching over it, I did see, this may be a little hard to pick up on camera, but it looks like this got denibbed a little and sanded, but not finished out. So that's probably a factory defect right there.
Oh yeah, we can see it right here. Definitely weird to just have sort of almost bare paint just sitting right there.
Yes, yeah, so that's just a sanded paint, and I can go in there, paint correct it, and which in a sense means buffing it out, getting it back to how it should look. Other than that, a couple more things, a little bit of residue here. Not exactly sure what that may be. This was kind of one of the main areas we saw here on this driver's side hood and fender. We got a lot of either adhesive, what it looks like to me. I don't think those are deep scratches.
Right, yeah, we can really pick it up right through here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely an odd thing because we don't have it on the other side of the hood.
Yeah, just a slight bit at the top there, but not as much down here.
Right.
Other than that, I did find one more spot. I'm sure after we get this thing rinsed off, we're gonna see everything. Being gloss black, it just shows absolutely everything.
Yep.
Which is good and bad. As a detailer, love the gloss black. When it's clean, keeping it clean, another issue. But on this car, once we get it coated, it's gonna be a lot easier to maintain.
So do you think we should kind of wash it down, maybe just see what it looks like in a cleaner state? And then once we knock a lot of the dirt off, we'll do one like deep, let's find everything.
Yeah, we'll go back over it. I've got my specialized scan grip lights here. We can kind of go over it, look over every little nook and cranny, see what we find. I found a little marring maybe around door handles, people getting in and out. That can even be a dealer or transport thing. Nothing too severe that I've seen so far.
Cool. Well, that is music to my ears. And I think it's going to be a surprise to a lot of those people that think Teslas don't necessarily come out of the factory that nice. But we looked just briefly, no major panel gap issues, a couple little like minor stuff, but and same with any other car really, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And your Model 3 you mentioned also came really nice from the factory.
I was extremely surprised. Yeah, and I didn't have them not wash it or anything, so that's maybe good on our local Tesla service here. I picked the car up 31 days after ordering it, and it looked about as amazing as I could have expected. I did a light polish on it and coated the entire car, and it looks fantastic. Yeah, and it still looks so mint, that thing. How many miles do you have on that now? So I've got close to 11,000 miles on that. Wow, you wouldn't even know. It looks so brand new. The one thing that the Tesla service center did do was they first off were like, you really don't want us to wash the car? I'm like, seriously, don't touch it. Don't even drive it. Like, I'll drive it off the truck myself. And they said, that's fine. We just need you to sign a piece of paper that says for any scratches or anything, they're just not held liable for it. Sure. Because I think during their washing process, they probably do an inspection. Inspect themselves, Yep. So we removed the right to go after them for any imperfections. Perfect. Well, I think anything that we find shouldn't be too much of an issue that I've seen so far to rectify with a little bit of buffing and polishing. So. Yeah, I agree. It's not like we're missing paint anywhere, which I heard the early Plaids did have missing paint, but I think they got their stuff together because this is looking great. So let's give it a quick rinse and see what it looks like when we knock some dirt off. Excellent. All right, so when you wash it, just curious, what the heck is going on over here? Now, I know what this is, but can you explain to our audience who may not? So this is a pretty cool setup. This is kind of founded by Obsessed Garage. And to start off, the Carranza, my absolute baby here. This thing does some serious work, puts out perfect pressure for what I need. It's not overly high. We have a high GPM, gallons per minute, to put out enough water to thoroughly rinse the paint. Now this is a pretty cool setup here. So Colorado, we've got some pretty good minerals in our water. So what this is actually gonna do is completely eliminate those. So for instance, Kyle's car here, we can take this, rinse it down, even if the paint may be a little bit warm, let it dry on there, and we're not gonna get mineral deposits, water spots everywhere. I work on a lot of cars that, especially intricate vehicles, that'll get water spotting. I mean, in the craziest areas, that just takes so much more time to get out. So this is kind of an insurance policy in a way for me, but it also just makes things a lot easier. Totally agree. And then what kind of soap are we going to use, or are we just wash it? What do you think? What's the best plan here? So I'm using a Chemical Guys snow foam. It's kind of a good barrier. It kind of eats the dirt, it gets in there, attracts it, and then is able to safely wipe away. So I use a Chemical Guys snow foam in a foam cannon here, and we'll go ahead and do what I like to do is a 3-bucket wash. So we've got a clean rinse water, a soap, and a wheel bucket. Nice. So we're keeping all the contaminants in their particular place. That's awesome. Well, let's see what this thing looks like when we start getting some water on it. It's first hand wash ever. All right, let's hit it. Man, that thing is coming out foamy. So Colton, we first initially sprayed down the car with foam. Yes. Then you rinsed it off, and now you've foamed it back up. What's going on? Well, the big thing with pretty much any car, you're gonna get a lot of contaminants on there. Kyle's car was a little bit dirty. So basically what I'm doing is trying to minimize risk of putting any scratches in at all during the wash process. So I foamed it basically to attack the dirt that was on there, and then rinsed it all out. Now we have kind of a fresh surface, and re-foamed it down to make this a little bit easier to glide over and minimize any scratching potential.
Makes sense. So we're just going for ultimate protection against any sort of love marks, scratches, swirls.
Exactly.
Because that's just more work when we do the detailing process later on.
Yep, absolutely.
And while we're on that topic, what's going to be the plan for this car? What are you going to recommend that we have you do to it?
So I think we'll see exactly how the paint looks kind of after we get this rinsed off, dried. I have a feeling it's going to need maybe a light compound, so a little bit heavier, aggressive cut on it, and then we'll go ahead and polish it and put the coating on.
Cool. And what coating are we going to do on this?
So we're probably going to do G-Technics Crystal Serum Light topped with XO-V4. It gives a nice balance between hydrophobic and durability. So it's a 3 to 5 year coating. I kind of find it's a good balance because cars, especially soft black paint like this, they will need to get polished at some point again.
Right, makes sense. So let's just say every 2 or 3 years we do a polish or something like that. It's not like we have to burn through that thick coating to get down to the paint.
Yep. So as long as we get a good wash process on it and we're not introducing more scratching into it, the less work we have to do down the road. Kind of a light polish maybe once the coating starts to wear a little or we start seeing some love marks around. And then we'll go back in and basically reset it to how it's going to look after this. Right.
And my guess is we probably won't have the car long enough to require that into the future. But what is your opinion on us running it through the touchless auto wash nearby?
So that's kind of what I recommend for all my clients that have coated vehicles. I even have one client that I've coated his entire fleet of vehicles. He works with auto wash. He's got the monthly subscription.
Oh, cool.
He takes every car, well, not every car, every day he takes one car through it. So he's got a fleet of his 2 vehicles. Every day he's at the car wash.
That's kind of like us too. So so that will at least minimize the chances of introducing extra marks to the paint.
Absolutely, especially if it's touchless. And being that it's a plaid and you're gonna have quite a bit of the water flying off the car, you can go a little quickly and your car is basically gonna be dry.
So basically pull it out the car wash, launch it, dry.
Perfect.
So now you've got to kind of wash down, just a quick little spray. So what are we doing now?
So we're gonna go ahead and do the final rinse now. So we're gonna switch from regular tap water. So we're gonna turn this off and go straight into the deionized water. And come in here, Kyle, this is pretty cool. So this is a little monitor that shows how many parts per million, basically how many minerals are in the actual water coming through the nozzle. At this point, we're at 0. So now time to rinse.
Yeah, cool, that's awesome.
This is a super fluffy, specifically made for drying. This is made by the Rag Company. I don't exactly remember which particular one. They've got like
a million different kinds.
So many different kinds, which is amazing.
People think there's just one kind of microfiber, and then there's like, oh, what kind of pile, what kind of weave, what kind of material.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they're pretty awesome for sure. And man, it looks good in here now. That is pretty impressive to just see it completely naked.
Just with a wash too.
Just with a wash. I hope we can kind of keep it looking like this, because this on the Martian wheels lowered is going to look
absolutely
so good.
I can't wait to see that.
And we got to get it tinted because we can't be fishbowling it. You look like you're fishbowling it over here.
I'm a fishbowler, and I've kind of got a funny story about that. First time I saw a white interior Model 3, It was a fishbowl, and it looked like the interior was glowing. And I just have always had that stuck in my head that I just absolutely love it outside.
That's awesome. I like the look, don't get me wrong, but in the heat here in Colorado, I don't know how you deal with it. The sun is strong.
It is strong.
So now we have the Model S completely in its naked state, just looking awesome. We're just kind of going around. There's some things we want to show you guys about defects that we found, but we got the almighty paint gauge out. So let's take a look at the consistency, because ideally when it goes through the paint shop, there's always going to be a bit of difference from panel to panel, from area to area. What we really don't want to see is, you know, a massive change in a short distance, because that indicates poor painting quality. It indicates that, you know, maybe the machines weren't calibrated perfectly. So let's take a look as to how consistent this thing is painted.
Absolutely. And this is a huge insurance policy for me as a detailer. So I need to kind of walk around and understand that, okay, this panel may be a little low. This one may have a little bit more paint. So I always have that in the back of my head when I'm buffing on a car, because anytime you run the risk of going through the paint and issues with that non-fun stuff. So we'll start here, Kyle, kind of at the top. So we're at 4.32 mils. That's pretty average for a new car. I see anywhere between like 3.75 and 6 is on average. There's some cars like Porsches that have paint to sample that you're gonna get up into the 12, 14 mils. It just kind of depends on the car, but again, what we're really looking for is consistency. So we'll kind of go back through here and just take some more measurements. 4.5, so pretty good. 4.43. This is pretty consistent here. Pretty darn consistent on the hood so far.
Wow.
On the wing here as well. We got 5 there. It's not a huge difference, but definitely something to note. So we're looking pretty good. So up here is actually a little low. So that's at 3.5 mils there. Maybe if we come over here. Wow, look at that. Almost a mil more.
4.7. So what would, obviously the shape must have some effect to do with it, but why from here would it be 3.5 and then go to 4.7? I don't understand that.
That may be calibration on the machine, just how the clear laid down. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's a big difference in that little of a section.
Yeah, that is definitely interesting.
And 5 mils there. So we have nearly a 2 mil difference between here and maybe a 1.5 feet over.
Wow. And obviously this is something you can't pick up with your naked eye, but definitely very interesting. I can't even imagine why that would be the case. Let's check your Model 3 actually.
Sure.
Can we see that same difference in stretch from...
Yeah. So let's do kind of the same panel here. So that's at 6.43. So quite a bit more paint actually. And go over here.
Whoa!
7.9.
What the heck? 9. Okay,
I'm not sure.
all over the place here with this.
Yes.
And
so we have the difference between literally 9 mils and our lowest, I think, was 3.5 or 3.7. So nearly double the paint. Now, something to think about. Having double that number doesn't necessarily mean this paint is double thickness. You have to consider it has color coat in it. It has... This being a pearl color probably has 3 or 4 layers of paint, I would assume, of color coat, then clear coat, where this may be 1 or 2. I'm not exactly sure.
Well, that would make sense why this is slightly thicker, because that's got the metallic or pearlescent effect in it, whereas this is just straight black.
Straight black.
So definitely, I think that's the reason as to why this might be a little bit thinner on average. But wow, what a disparity.
That's a really big difference.
Cool. Well, let's check maybe around the back. Let's do a couple more pounds. We don't need to do the whole car, but I'm just so curious now.
So we'll go here up on the, it's kind of a hard panel to get. So we have 3.9 there, which is about average. Maybe the center of the trunk lid here.
4. So that's all good. 3.6.
3.6. So that's pretty common. It really is.
Yeah.
It gives me... you know, when I'm buffing this, it's going to give me a good amount of paint to work with. We don't want to go super, super aggressive if we don't have to.
Right. Always start least aggressive to most is my theory.
So, Kyle, we were looking around this a little bit earlier. So we noticed a few things I wanted to point out.
Yep.
One of them was right here. So we've got a pretty deep scratch. And this is a true telltale sign. I'll probably get out of here.
No, yeah, actually you in there was better.
Was helping.
Yeah, there we go. We just got it there.
So if you can take your fingernail and feel that, that's through the clear coat.
And
so
it definitely is.
It's definitely through there. And the telltale, when there's a white streak, that normally means it's through the color coat as well. So what I'll probably end up doing here is buffing this slightly more, just rounding the edges off that and just make it look as good as we can.
But yeah, no repair process to that without paint or going very aggressive, which we don't want to do.
No, we want to keep as much paint on this car as possible.
Yep.
And not just hammer, and then you get another scratch there and you're like, I have no paint left. So.
Sure. And then, so I would say that's tied for worst that we've seen with this down here. So what the heck is going on with this?
So down here, it looks like we've either got a bit of debris that got under, I would assume, the color in there, or even under the clear, and it's kind of raised. There's also...
It's a little bit big to be a dust nib, wouldn't you say?
I would think so, but that's pretty strange to look at. I mean, you can definitely see some dirt in there. I don't know if that had been like maybe touched during the painting process or something had happened there, but that's very interesting.
That's wild. And then other than that, we've just noticed a couple little things, nothing that couldn't be corrected.
No.
I would say those are really the two that will just stay on the car forever. And it's a car, in my opinion, it's meant to be driven. It's not going to be a showpiece. Yeah. You know, we're not going to hold back with this thing. So,
absolutely.
You know, we just want to do basically the best we can. But because I signed that document with Tesla and took it unprepared, nothing I can do to go back to them except make a video about it. So, but I mean, that's really, every car is going to have something with it that needs some correction.
They all have defects from every single manufacturer. I've worked with countless new vehicles, and you see stuff like this, you see deep scratches. This could have been from the factory. This could have been
from
transport. Us. It could have been from you guys getting in and out
yep.
of the car. It's just, it's one of those things, but I don't want to go attack that and cause more issues. So.
Totally agree. Well, I think that's the right approach. I'm like, you know, let's just keep as much on the car as possible.
Absolutely.
And really, other than that, you were just mentioning a lot of swirls from maybe improper cleaning on the rear taillights and the charge port.
Get a light on there. On that charge port has some pretty good scratches there.
Yeah, definitely picking it up now. That's pretty wild.
And we can even flip over here to this tail light, which is more swirled out and scratched than that one. We have a lot of DA sanding marks in here. Maybe a little hard to pick up on camera.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get them. Definitely. Yeah, definitely see them right through here. You can see some of that swirl.
So that's not really anything too severe. Very common for plastic on taillights. They're super soft. Normally what happens is these cars come through, they may see a little haze, quickly hit them, and oh, it looks good and shiny now. But as a detailer, I'm gonna go in and fix those and make it look absolutely perfect.
Wonderful. And I think just to sort of leave off the evaluation, what are your thoughts? You've obviously done Teslas before. Sure. You own one.
Yep.
What's your impression of the paint quality of today's Tesla vehicles based off of this example?
I'm pretty impressed with how this car came in. I've seen a lot of cars. I worked with Audi and Porsche for a while, doing some new cars coming in. This seems kind of actually even on the better end of that. Issues like that bubble, I haven't seen that quite as often. But overall paint quality looks pretty good. The discrepancy and, you know, up and down, it's very common throughout any car. The orange peel, there's definitely a little bit, but it's nothing that it's like, wow, this looks absolutely terrible. I mean, this car literally, we just rinsed it down, gave it a quick hand wash, dried it, and it looks pretty incredible.
Man, if you just rolled up in this thing, no one would know it's not fully protected and like waxed. It looks awesome in its naked state. And so maybe a future video coming up, we should go through the protection process.
Absolutely.
Which we're going to be doing next week, it sounds like. Yep. And this car is going to get sort of just set. The whole idea here is let's get everything done up front. Let's get the wheels done. Let's get the round steering wheel in it. Sure. What did you think of the yoke, by the way?
So the yoke was very interesting. The dimensions were a lot different than I thought. Seeing it in pictures, it's a lot like shorter, squatted down, and really wide. I wouldn't say it was a bad experience, but I like my round steering wheel.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the round wheel on it. We're gonna get the paint sort of protected, and then we're gonna drive the hell out of it.
Sounds like a great plan.
That's the point of a car. So can't thank you enough for the tour, for showing us around sort of the starting point, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then let's film the process as it continues.
Absolutely, that sounds great.
And if you guys want more detailing videos, we're thinking about bringing the Rivian over here and seeing how that quality compares to our Model S, because they're both fresh.
Very fresh.
Yeah.
That would be a very cool comparison.
Okay, well, let's maybe do that. And can't thank you guys enough for watching another Out of Spec Reviews YouTube video. We will see you on the next one very soon, leaving clear detailing here in Northern Colorado. Have a great one.